and in the trenches doing everything that you are doing and who can relate to exactly what your experience is like. Now, over the course of the past few months, many of the contributors have been people who are earning $1 million plus. What I wanted to do differently today is bring someone on board that you may be able to relate to a little bit differently. Someone who's not earning the $1 million mark yet, and someone who is still in the stages of building his business. And he's done a great job over the course of the last few years that he's been in the real estate industry. And he happens to be a master at door knocking, which is a subject that many of you have been inquiring about, saying, "Hey, Shadi, what do I do when I go out door knocking? Where should I door knock? What should I say? What should I take with me? Etc. And how do I follow up with the leads I get and all that good stuff?" So I reached out to my buddy, Gene Levesque, someone that I've known for, I don't know, probably about 9, 10 years now, who's become a very dear friend and someone that I consider like a brother and a mentor in many cases. So without further ado, I'm very excited to present to you Mr. Gene Levesque. Gene, welcome to Success Mastery Group. How you doing this morning?
Thank you, Shadi. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on this.
You are so welcome. Gene, let's go ahead and begin this morning by, giving everyone an idea of, who you are. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where have you been, where you're at right now, how long you've been in the real estate industry, etc.
Okay, great. A little bit of background. Shadi, when I got out of high school, I started a little surfboard company. I began to build surfboards, have my own little business, and honestly, I never made more than $20,000 in a given year. So,
Wow.
my wife was a graphic designer. We were, making pretty good money because she had a decent salary, and I was doing my little surfboard thing, and we thought we were getting by. Anyhow, we bought a house, we started having kids, and then my wife lost her job. And you know how they say breakdowns come before breakthroughs,
That
and
is
that was our
correct.
break. Yep, that was our breakdown point. And so I realized that I had to go out and get a real job, quote unquote. And I was fortunate and lucky enough to go and work for a real estate coaching and training company. I knew zero about real estate at the time. So anyhow, I got there and I remember our manager having us write down goals. And Shadi, I had a hard time. I think I wrote down $40,000 was my goal for the year. And my manager smacked me in the head and said, "Come on, that's like your draw, your salary." And when I wrote 50,000 down, it was actually hard for me to write because I had so much mental issues going on in my head that I didn't believe that I even deserved to earn $50,000 with my background. Anyhow,
Gene, sorry to
because
interrupt you. Just want to let you know it's okay to say the name of the person that you worked with, and all that good stuff. So you can just speak freely, and you don't got to worry about any law infringements or anything like that. It's all legal. So for those of you who are wondering, who did he have the privilege to work for? He had the privilege to work for one of the best real estate trainers in the whole entire world, someone who has played a huge role in my success and in the success of Gene amongst thousands of others all around the world. And that person, Gene, is
the Mike Ferry organization.
correct. So go right ahead. Sorry about that.
Okay, so Shadi and I worked together back then in those wonderful days for me to really open my mind to what was possible. So in those years, I worked there for about 4 years. And on my last year working for the company, I realized that I had been going to basically real estate, university for the last 4 years and mindset university on how to think big. So in my last year at Mike Ferry, I grabbed a pen and paper and I wrote down $ and I put 250 comma 000. And I told myself, I'm going to give myself 3 years to make that number right there on that piece of paper. And so you can see how my mindset changed from when I started there to when I was leaving. Anyhow, so I got my real estate license, got into the business. And my first year in real estate, just giving you the numbers here, straight up forward, I made $130,000. My second year, I made 169,000, and in my third year, this was my goal year. I have to admit I didn't reach my goal, but I made $207,000, and I became the number one producing agent and the number one income earner in a company that had 900 agents. Now, I don't say that to brag or boast or make you think that I'm something special. Just letting you know how far I came from being that surfboard shaper making $20,000 a year. So, what I did as I got into real estate, the question may come up is why door knocking? And the reason I chose to door knock was because when I worked at Mike Ferry, I would be talking to agents all day long about what was working and what wasn't working. And the majority of agents that told me that they were door knocking, they were the ones that had a successful, consistent business. And they were the ones that are taking the majority of listings. So I thought, hey, that's what I'm going to do is door knock. And the thing that's great about door knocking is that it's face-to-face interaction with prospects. You cannot get closer to a prospect than face-to-face conversation. So I got out there and started door knocking right away when I got into the business. Now, let's talk about where to start. Where do you start? First step is really mindset. You have to ask yourself, what is my mindset about door knocking? And I know Chadi is really good with helping you guys, develop a good mindset and affirmations and all those things that are vitally important. But
What was your mindset like? The first time you were about. I mean, you've been talking to all these real estate agents. I would imagine it was approximately 20 to 40 agents every single day, 5 days a week. You're probably speaking to approximately anywhere between 500 to 1,000 real estate agents every single month. So thousands of agents every single year, of which many of them shared with you that the successes that they were achieving were as a result of doing some door knocking. So that kind of sold you on the idea. But I'm sure the day before you went out door knocking, or that day that you were going out door knocking, I'd like to get an idea of exactly what was going through your head that day.
scared to death. No doubt about it. Matter of fact, the first day I went out to door knock, you guys, I went out there. I had my little postcard, because I had a listing in a neighborhood through a center of influence lead, and I was my intention was to door knock, and really all I did was drop postcards on porches, and then every now and then somebody was out front, and I had a quick conversation with them. But yeah, I chickened out the first day. I mean, it was a scary thought, Shadi, to be honest with you. But then I realized that I got to make this thing work, and I got a wife at home, I got kids counting on me. I need to make this thing happen. So um, when I first got out there, I basically just went out there and I'm going to talk to you guys actually about that in a second here, of kind of how to set yourself up, what to do. But the mindset is this. This is what the mindset I had to go through, Shadi, to get to the point where I could actually do this. The mindset is, I'm not asking for anything. I'm not even going to the door as a salesperson. I am going to the door to give information, to give valuable information. I'm there to be the expert in that neighborhood and the expert in that area, the go-to person when it comes to real estate matters. So when you get that in your mindset, you realize that you can actually go out there with confidence, realizing that you're not asking, you're giving. So, practical steps. Number one, you do your research. You do the research on the area that you want to sell homes in. So, thinking about door knocking, the thing you can look at the things you don't like about it, and let's be honest, who wants to park your car in a strange neighborhood, get out and just talk to strangers at their door? I would say you'd have to be kind of crazy to really want to do that. So what's nice about door knocking though is that it works, is that you can generate listings at no cost. I mean, there's really no expense involved in generating listings. And I think door knocking is the best kept secret out there. The top, listing agents that are out there don't want you to know, I think, how powerful door knocking can be. But let's go back to practical step number one. You do your research. Okay? You do your research on the neighborhoods you want to work in. You choose the neighborhoods you want to sell homes in. You get to choose your price point, where you want to sell property. To me, when I first started, I went to these little condos and then I realized, wait a minute, what am I doing? These things are selling for so low, my commission is going to be low. I need to expand my horizons, step up to the big leagues and choose neighborhoods that I really want to sell homes in. So here's what you do. You map a tract of homes in the MLS. You draw your little map diagram around a neighborhood you want to sell homes in. Okay, pick a neighborhood, and maybe within 4 major cross streets. Number 2, you create a line item CMA of all active, pending, backup, and solds from the last 90 days. You print that out, and what I do is I just tape a little business card on the lower part of that page, and then I run copies of that page, of that sheet. And I run about 20, 25 copies of that. Number 3, get some really nice full color postcards, like half sheet, half page postcards that have a nice picture of you. You want to brand yourself, and I know that Chadi's working with you guys on branding yourself and creating a consistent image. You want to get some postcards that are made, and honestly, I can get like 5,000 double-sided, full glossy, hard stock postcards for about $350. And if you want that contact, ask Chadi. I'll pass that on to him as well.
Thank you,
So,
Gene.
no problem. And so I get those postcards. And then number 4, you get a nice notebook, and make sure you have a nice notebook to keep everything in as you go out there to door knock. And then number 5, or the last one, is actually optional. Get a pair of running shoes or a pair of rollerblades. You're probably laughing right now when you hear the word rollerblades, but here's something that I really like to do. Before I go into that neighborhood, that tract of homes to door knock, what I'll do is I'll pick a Sunday morning. You might ask, why Sunday morning? And it's between 6 and 7 a.m. because people get their Sunday papers on Sunday morning. And what I like to do is either jog that neighborhood, I get a workout, and drop those postcards on top of those Sunday papers. It's as if they're getting their Sunday paper with you on top, like as if that was planned by the paper company. So here you are, you drop those on there. If they don't get a paper, you throw it on their porch, or I've stepped it up now with rollerblades. I can get about 350 homes in 30 minutes. And I either drop them on that paper or I flick them on their, porch or their driveway by their garage. So what I like to do, if I get that out there, Chadi, ahead of time on a weekend, then when I go and door knock that neighborhood that following week, it's like these people already know me. They've already seen my picture. They've seen my face, and they don't know where they've seen me. They don't know if something came in the mail, something was in the newspaper, or where it came from, an ad, whatnot. They just know who I am a little bit more versus not having anything. So that's the setup. Now we're going to talk about, Chadi, how to get into action. What I like to do is get 25 contacts every outing. So my goal is to get 25 contacts, 25 conversations with a decision maker at the house. So if you get a maid or a cleaning lady that answers the door and says that the owners aren't there, I do not count that as a contact. So Anyhow, you want to get 25 contacts. That's what I like to do. And then you treat yourself to lunch. You hit your goal and then you're out. Some people ask me, Gene, what's the best time to door knock? What's the best time to get out there and door knock? And I'll tell you what, the best time to door knock is the time that you do it. Okay? I don't care what time you do it, it will work for you. I don't care what time you go, you will get 25 contacts. I love to go in the morning because I don't trust myself in the afternoon. You know how it goes. You get caught up in things, you start getting busy, you're doing follow-up calls, you're putting out fires, and then you go, oh gosh, I'm supposed to door knock from 4 to 5 or 4 to 6. It's probably not going to happen. So what I like to do is between 10 and noon, door knock between those hours. And I just love telling people good morning. It feels so fresh to share good morning with someone, and it makes your prospect look at you like this guy's a real estate agent. This guy's the real deal. This guy or gal is out here in the morning working in the field. If they need to sell their home, they're going to want to reward you for being on the ball versus someone that's just dropping flyers or mailing them literature. Okay, so between 10 and 12, and like I said before, it doesn't matter what time you go, but let's just use that. I like to be very strict in the morning routine, just like Chadi does. Be strict in the morning so that you can be flexible in the afternoon. So when I first started door knocking Chadi, it took me probably 3 hours to get 25 contacts. And I think the reason is when you get out there, you think that people are going to be mean and grouchy, and they're not going to want you at their door. But the reality is, you're going to meet so many nice people that are happy to have you there, and they're going to start talking to you, talk, and next thing you know, you get sidetracked, and you have these long conversations that aren't helping you reach your goals. So you have to be able to break away from those people and get to your next door. I've gotten now to the point where I can get 25 contacts in an hour to an hour and a half. Somewhere between an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, I got my 25 contacts, and then I reward myself, go out to a nice lunch, and I got it done. It's behind me. So you want to, let's talk about the next section here is basically setting goals. You want to set goals. So you want to tell yourself that you, maybe at the beginning, when you first start, you're probably thinking, I just want to talk to one nice person. But reality, you want to get one phone number. You could set a goal like that for the day. I am going to get one phone number today. And then you start telling yourself that you want to set one good, solid appointment that day. So you start setting goals for yourself. You start to get a bigger picture of what you're doing and why you're doing it. When you have that, you will start to see things happen when you start raising your expectations. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about door knocking, and those of you I know that have never done it before, it's kind of a scary thing. Statistically speaking, you will only run into one rude person every 12 contacts. So when you talk to 25 people, you're only going to bump into 2 people that are unpleasant. And when I say unpleasant, they're just going to say something like, not interested, slam the door, whatever they're going to do. Only 2 people are going to be slightly rude or, whatever. They're not going to be as pleasant. But I'll tell you what, everyone else is going to be happy that you're there. They're going to be appreciative, a smile on their face, and they're going to want conversation and dialogue with you. So you've got to keep that in your mindset when you get out there to door knock. All right. Now we're going to talk about making it happen. Making it happen. This is where you are looking at, hey, I got my CMA set up, I got my postcards, and at the beginning, you guys, I had black and white postcards, no big deal. But I like having a nice, for the price, you can get nice, glossy colored postcards. But you've got your folder, you've got your CMA for that neighborhood, you've got your postcards, and now it's time to get into action. It's time to make it happen. So, and some people ask me, Gene, who is going to be home between 10 and 12 in the morning? I'll tell you what, every third house you hit, someone will be home. Roughly every third house, someone's going to be home. So keep in mind that in when it comes to selling someone's home, ask yourself, who's the most important party in the equation? And I don't know what your thoughts are, but I'm going to say it's the spouse, it's the wife, pretty much every time. So you have the opportunity to connect with the wife if she's home, because typically you think, oh, well, the wife's going to be home if someone is home. So you connect with that wife, and then she helps sell you to the husband later on if you make that contact. So we get into action. You park your car. You get out of your car, you get your things. Chadi is so good with affirmations, and I know you guys are working on affirmations. When you get out of that car, you grab your things, you write down, the time that you're starting, and then in your notebook, and then you start speaking to yourself. Your self-talk is affirmations. You're going to say things like, people love to talk with me. I'm a great salesperson. If someone's going to get the job done, it's going to be me. I'm out here really working. There is no competition. I will find that diamond in the rough. The more people I talk to, the closer I get to a listing. These are affirmations that you start chanting to yourself as you're getting ready to hit that first door. So I'll tell you what, if you think too much about what you're doing, chances are you'll get out of your car, look at your stuff, look at that neighborhood, and start thinking about, oh my gosh, I don't know anybody here. What am I doing? I'm going to be bothering people. I'm going to go to the door. They don't want me here, blah, blah, blah. If you start filling your mind with those negative thoughts, you'll get back in your car and you'll find a reason to drive back to your office or your home. And you'll come up with some kind of justification for not working that morning. I don't want that to happen for you. I don't want that to happen to you. So you've got to fill your mind with positive affirmations. And trust me, when you get up to that first door, you will realize the first door is the hardest. And when that smiling face talks to you at the door and you realize, I've got it, I'm here, now you're on to the next one and you're on a roll. Once you get past that first door, you will get it done. So, next thing I want to cover is make it fun. You have got to make this fun or you won't do it. If it's not fun for me, I won't do it. So it's got to be fun. You want to time yourself every single day. Write down, 10 a.m. You get there, you write your time down. You want to try to beat your time every day. 25 contacts in a shorter amount of time than I had yesterday. So you want to have fun, challenge yourself with these things. You want to see how quickly you can get your 25 contacts. You want to set goals for leads. You want to set goals for appointments. Don't let yourself stop until you have your 25 contacts. Play a game with yourself. Hey, I cannot go to lunch today until I have 25 contacts, or whatever your contact goal is. I'm using my goal. You want to reach your goal before you treat yourself to lunch. Be strict about your morning routine, and then you can be flexible in your afternoons. All right. Let's move on now to what to say. It's like, Gene, okay, I got my stuff. I know what you're talking about. I know how to get out there. Now I need to know what to say. And I'm going to tell you that there is no right or wrong thing to say at the door. And most of the time, it won't even matter what you say because this is a numbers game. And you just want to make sure that in your script, whatever it is you say at the door, you want to make sure you're at least asking the question if they've had any thoughts about moving. So you just want to make sure that that's in there with whatever you say. I'll give you an example of what I like to say when I get to the door. And I basically have a script that goes like this. Hello, good morning. I love to say good morning to people. It shows that you're up, you're in the morning, it's crisp, it's solid, it's great. Hello, good morning. My name is Gene Levesque with Remax Unlimited. I'm a local real estate agent here in the area, and I wanted to come by to introduce myself to you and give you a market update of your neighborhood. You hand them the flyer of the market update, the CMA, and they look at it. Now, if you have a listing in that area, or if you have a property that's sold, or if your company had a property that's listed or sold in that neighborhood, then you want to talk that up. I would even highlight that on the CMA with a highlighter before I go out, and then show them, hey, you look over here. Yeah, this one over around the corner on you on Rose Drive. Yeah, we just sold that, or I just sold that last month. You probably saw the sign up there. It was a little 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and we got a full price offer in 2 weeks. And then they start talking to you. You're chatting with them about the neighborhood. They love to talk about what's going on in their area. So you give that to them. If you don't have any listings or sales in the area, it doesn't matter. You hand that to them, and they look at the sheet to see where the value is in that particular tract. And then you simply, when you hand that to them, you let them know, hey, this sheet right here, it shows you home sales from your immediate area over the last 90 days. So you let them know this is exactly what it's about. And then you say to them, because I work with a lot of buyers and sellers in the area, I was wondering if you had any thoughts about a possible move, either now or maybe in the near future. Something simple, really low key like that is all you need to say. And you guys, the majority of these people are going to say no. I mean, 99% of the doors you go to are going to be people that do not need to move. I'm thinking about yourself right now. If someone came to your door today and said, hey, are you thinking about moving? You're probably going to tell them no. You have no thoughts or plans to move. And that's okay. That doesn't mean they're rejecting you. That doesn't mean that you are, that they're being mean or anything. That just means that they don't need to move. So what you want to do then is just affirm them. Terrific. They say, no, I'm not moving. Matter of fact, they're going to have to carry me out feet first. You'll hear that a lot out there, and that's fine. Terrific. Good for you. How long have you lived here? You might ask them. And then you'll say, let me ask you a question. Do you know anyone here in the area that has been thinking about a move that could possibly use my help? You guys, these folks that are never going to move, that are going to be carried out feet first, they can be the biggest source. They can be your biggest ally to help you find a lead.
Gene,
And so,
Gene,
yes,
I remember you one time telling me a story, and I don't know if you recall this or not. You knocked on an old woman's door who said that to you that, you carry me out, feet first, etc. But then she pointed you in the direction of someone else on that street or the street over or something like that, and you ended up selling that house.
exactly,
Can you share some of those experiences with us? So, because one of the things that I want people to get over the hurdle is, just because you get a no from a person, that person may never ever do a transaction with you for whatever reason. However, that same exact person could be the source of your next listing or sale. Isn't that true?
exactly true. And that's
Can
why there's,
can you share
I,
can you share an experience or two that you've had like that, please?
yeah, I'll give you experience. Matter of fact, just recently, I went to a door. An older man, a gentleman, came to the door. I asked him, I did my script with him, and he said, No, 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 I'm not moving anywhere. This, that, and the other. Oh, can you think of anyone in the area? I look around the neighborhood with them that's maybe thinking about a move that could use my help. He said, well, you know what? These people next door, they're they've been out of the house for a while, but every week or so they come, mow the lawn, grab their mail, and take off. So he goes, I don't know if they're going to sell the house or what their plans are, but you might want to talk to them. So I went over there, dropped off a postcard, knocked at the door. They weren't there. I left a little note. Then what I did, Shaddy, this is what's great about this, is you get to be like a private detective. You're researching these things. So I go on Zaba search, I go on, everything to find out, where they live, maybe their secondary address, their, phone number if I could find it. So I did some research. I mailed them a letter, Shaddy. And I just basically said, hey, one of your neighbors had said you guys might be thinking about either moving or selling this property. I do sell a lot of homes in this area, and I was just curious if I could help you guys. Let me know. Shadi, they called me back from that letter, and I kept, between the time that they called me back, I went there several times and dropped off little notes and postcards on their porch, and then followed up with that letter. Well, they called me back, and I listed that property and sold it. So yes, it works. They were very impressed with my follow-up and how much I contacted them. So I've had people say, hey, down the street, somebody passed away. The kids are fixing up the house. You might want to talk to them. I talked to them, listed that home, and sold it. So yes, the people that are never going to move can be a huge help to you finding a lead in that neighborhood. So don't think that, oh, I'm not moving. They're gonna have to carry me on speed first, that it's time to move on. You want to ask them the question, do they know of anyone that's thinking about moving in the neighborhood? Thank you,
Awesome.
Shadi. That's great. Huge.
Yeah, and Gene, not to throw you off track on what you want to share with everyone, but I got to ask this question because there's people whose names I see that are on the webinar right now who have actually gone out door knocking, and they did it for a day, they did it for 2 days, or they do it every once in a while, and they during that one time that they went out there, or the two times, or that every once in a while that they go out there, they get absolutely no leads. What would you say to that person?
I would say to that person that they never gave it a full shot.
Okay, and
Until you,
when you when you
was
sa- when you say full shot, say a little bit more about that. What do you mean?
okay, what I mean is, if you don't give something, which Shadi and I always talk about the 90-day cycle. If you don't give something, whatever new thing you're implementing, if you do not give it a 90-day cycle, a 90-day opportunity for if it works or doesn't work. In 90 days, you will know if your new system, if your new lead generation system works or not, but you've got to give it the time. Shadi, sometimes I'll door knock for a whole month and I'll get little leads here and there, and I feel like, gosh, nothing's coming, nothing's happening. And then right at that point, at that breaking point where you feel like nothing's going to happen, then bam, you hit something. And I'm going to give you a quick example of it, Shadi. When I first got into real estate, I door knocked in the middle of July. I was dripping with sweat. It was right about noon. I was almost done finishing my 25 contacts. I think I had 26. I was almost back to my car, Shadi. This was the first, real time that I was week or so that I was door knocking. I got to that last door and I was going to skip it. And I was just going to hop in my car and get the heck out of that neighborhood. But instead, I went to the door and I knocked. And I said, hi, I'm Gene Levesque, local agent here. I just want to come by and introduce myself to you. I just listed a home around the corner from you, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, blah, blah, blah. And it's got this, that, and the other for this price. I was curious, do you know anyone that wants to move into the area? They said no. I said, well, considering the market conditions, have you folks ever had thoughts about a move? The lady says to me, yes. As a matter of fact, I was just going to get on the phone with the agent today. She says, come on in. Tell me what you think. I walk in that house, Shadi, made the contact, the connection with her, met her that afternoon with her husband, and wrote the listing agreement. Listed that home, sold it. And here's the cool part, Shadi, because this was the stuff I was going to share at the end, was just some of my little stories to show people how this stuff works. But I'll tell you what, I listed that property, and then I found my own buyer for that property. I double ended it, and I earned a $25,000 commission And the breaking point, Shadi, for me was thinking, my gosh, in surfboards, I never made more than 20 grand in a year building surfboards, sweating up, manufacturing. And here in one transaction, I earned $25,000. So that day, Shadi, I became a believer in door knocking. I believe that it works. And so I kept at it. And I knew that even in those down times where nothing happens, I know that I'm getting closer and closer to hitting a jackpot.
Awesome,
So,
awesome story. I mean, awesome, motivating, inspiring story. And one of the things that I would like to add to that, Gene, is you're absolutely right about the 90-day cycle. And I believe that if you are going to do anything, do it right or don't do it at all. If you're going to go out there and door knock every once in a while, you're simply looking for that needle in the haystack. You may hit the jackpot, you may not. And as with anything, most successful people will tell you that the key to their success has been a result of them being consistent in doing certain activities. So if you are consistent in going out there and door knocking, you will get leads, you will get appointments, you will get listings, and you will sell more homes. And if you are going to be inconsistent with it, that is just someone that goes on a diet Monday and Tuesday and then eats whatever the heck they want to eat for the remainder of the week. They never ever move forward.
exactly. Now, Shadi, if these folks that are on the call here today want to add one transaction to their current production, if they do this, and I'm talking 5 days a week, 25 contacts, I want to share with you something else. When I first committed, my year, the breakout year where I made over 200,000 that year as I was rising in the business, I told myself, I'm going to door knock every single day and I'm going to get 25 contacts 5 days a week. And I'm going to do that for the month of January. Shadi, I want you to know that just in that 1 month of door knocking in January of that year, I closed 6 transactions for that year based on that month's leads. On that 1 month of door knocking, 25 contacts per day, I closed 6 transactions just from that month in that year. So, does it work? Yes, it works. If you work, it works. So, it's about keeping consistent. Let's get back real quick to the script. So, every now and then, you're going to bump into someone that really does need to move, that needs to sell the property. So, when you get through the part where you ask, I'm just curious to see if you had any thoughts about moving either now or in the near future, and they say, yes, actually, we are. Then you ask them simply, how soon were you thinking about moving? Do you mind if I come in and take a quick look at your place? Once you make that connection, and you're going to be shocked, people, because these folks will invite you into their home right there, and then you're walking in. But I want to share with you what it looks like to get a lead, because you're going to have so many people say they're not moving. And here's the kind of people you're going to bump into when you door knock. You're going to find people that say, you know yeah, matter of fact, my mother passed away, and I just we're it's in a trust, the property's in a trust, and we do need to sell the house. Can you come in and take a look around and tell me what you think? What do you think we should fix up? What do you think we should? You make that connection with these people when you go into that house. You What I always try to do is not compliment the home and talk about how great the house is. Instead, I'm listening to them and connecting and asking questions to make contact and connection with the homeowner. Because you talk up the house too much, then you come back, they're going to expect a higher price. What I love to ask, Shadi, whenever I meet people and I go in their home, is I love to ask this question. It's probably the most powerful question that I ask. It's this: based on the market conditions right now and the condition of your home, what do you think your home will sell for realistically? I'll say that again. Based on the market conditions right now and the condition of your home, what do you think your home will sell for? What do you think your home would sell for realistically? Whenever I ask that question, it helps them to become very realistic about that. Now, sometimes they're going to say things like, well, I don't know, you're the agent, you tell me. Or they're going to say, I have no idea what's going on in the market at all. And then sometimes they're going to give you a number. If they give you a price, that's so helpful because it shows you what you're dealing with. Is this person realistic or not? And then what I tell them is, now that I've seen your home, I'd like to get back to my office, do some research, some specific research on your property, and get back with you and your spouse. This way I can show you what your home will probably sell for and give you a net sheet that will show you an estimate of what you will walk away with at closing. I'm available tonight at 5, or would 6 be better for you? Great. Let me go ahead and jot down your number here. And that was 714 or 949, whatever their phone number is. You never want to ask for their phone number. You want to expect that they're going to give you their phone number. So I always say, let me go ahead and jot down your number here. That was, and then I put in the area code. And then they just follow in with numbers. I can't tell you how many people I tell that to that go out and door knock and they're like, I didn't get the phone number. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you got a lead with no phone number. So you've got to expect that you're going to get that phone number. And so that's what I do there. Now, that's my little script. That's what I like to use. You guys will write your own and go out there and feel comfortable. But you also have to have an exit strategy. You're going to have an old man, an old woman at the door that want to talk with you for a long time. You've got to be able to get out of there. So what I like to say for an exit strategy, if you want to stay on track with your goal, and you want to hit your contact number that you got to hit every day, I tell them things like, thank you for your time today, and it's been a pleasure talking with you. Have a great day. And I just jump in with that. Or I say, hey, I better get back at it. Listen, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for your time. Have a great day. And otherwise you can be at a door for a half hour with some of these people because, like I said, these people are friendly and they love to talk, and you might be the only person they talk to for the week. So you got to think of that as well. Okay, now Chadi, real quick as we get here towards the finish line, and we can talk about some of the other great things, but leads. Chadi, you can expect 25 contacts to get at least one lead. And that lead may be a good lead. It might be a great lead. It might be an appointment. It might just be, hey, this person down the street, they're thinking about something, or you might want to talk to them. Whatever it is, you're going to get something, probably one every 25 contacts. So the question is, what do you do with your leads? You want to make sure that you follow up with your leads. You want to make sure, and believe me, if you contact every single day, you're going to have so many leads that you're going to be quickly throwing away the garbage ones, and you want to learn to smell blood. You've got to be able to smell blood. You got to know what a real lead is. And then you got to follow up on it. Tenacious lead follow-up. Quick example. Chadi, I went to a door one time. This little girl answers the door. And she says, I talked to her for a couple minutes. She says to me, well, my grandfather is going to sell the house. He's going to move to Atlanta. And I said, oh, okay, thanks. Have a good day. I left there. Chadi, I came back to that door so many stinking times. Embarrassing situations. At the door, they're eating dinner. They're looking at me, rolling their eyes like, what is this guy here again? Yeah, I was looking for Salvador. I'm looking for oh, he's not here. We're eating. I mean, Chadi, I felt like quitting. You feel like giving up. But I knew I could smell blood. I knew that this was a transaction I could get. So I kept coming back. And finally, I got that listing and sold it. And I look back, I'm thinking, gosh, what if I would have given up when I felt like giving up? Lead follow-up is the most vitally critical part of what you do. You've got to stay on top of it and keep coming back. No matter how you look, no matter how embarrassing it might be, if you want that listing, you've got to be willing to humble yourself and get at it. So you come
Gene,
back.
Gene,
Yes.
I just want to say something about lead follow up real quickly. As important as lead generation is,
Yes.
lead follow up is just as important. Lead
Totally
follow up
agree.
is not more important than lead generation, and lead generation is not more important than lead follow up. They are equivalent, and if one is more important than the other, it's a slightly fraction of an importance. Meaning, lead generation would be 51% of the equation. Lead follow up is 49% of the equation, or the other way around. See, you
Right.
work your tail off. You spend time, away from your family. You spend time door knocking. You spend time trying to get yourself to go out there and to generate a lead. And then what most people do is when they generate a lead, they stop their lead generation. But one of the other things that they also stop is the lead follow up. They think the lead is going to automatically, call them and want to do business with them. That's not the case. Your lead follow up time is just as important as your lead generation time. You can't really have one without the other.
That's so true. And the thing is, remember the most powerful part of your contact was face to face. So if you can get back out there face to face with these people, you're going to get that listing. So if you may have called them, you may have sent them letters, but if you go back and visit them face to face, you're giving yourself the greatest opportunity to be the one that lists that property. Now, Shadi, one quick thing. I like to get my 25 contacts, and then on top of that, go to two expired doors that same day. So what I do is when I map out where I'm going to go door knock that particular area, and people, I want you to know, some people farm areas and keep going door knock in the same areas. I don't do it that way. I keep choosing new neighborhoods in that city that I really want to sell homes in. So I'll go from one track to the next, to the next, to the next, and then I'll work my way back to that track at some point probably. But for the most part, I'm going to new neighborhoods every single you know week or month. I'm going to new areas. Once I clear one area out, I'm on to the next. So the key is, Shadi, you got to stay active. Stay inactive. Sometimes you'll get a listing right away, and sometimes it will take a while. Either way, make sure you get it by staying in touch. You got to make sure you stay in touch with these people. Do good lead follow up. Let the dead dogs go. You're going to have so many leads by door knocking that you got to get rid of the unmotivated ones and focus on the real leads, ones that have motivation, ones that really do need to move. And keeping in mind, whatever they tell you, if they say 6 months, yeah, we're going to move in 6 months, sell the house, you want to cut that time frame in half. Because I guarantee you, that person will list their property earlier than 6 months. I mean, Shadi and I were told cut it in half and then cut it in half again. And that's probably the way you should treat every single lead.
Gene, let me just say something about something that you said a moment ago. You said sometimes you get the business right away and sometimes you won't. And I just want to remind everyone about what Gene shared with us a little bit ago. He said, in 1 year, he did 6 transactions from 1 month of door knocking. In January, he did enough door knocking to where he generated enough leads to close 6 deals that year just from that 1 month of lead generation. Now, at the end of that month, Gene, even if he would have stopped door knocking for the rest of the year and only followed up on those leads, he would have closed 6 transactions. Or he could have had the mindset of, oh, I got a bunch of leads, but I got no listings. This stuff doesn't work. And he could have stopped following up right there and then, and he would have lost the 6 transactions. See, me, let me share a personal, story with you. Okay. Like, my son, he's 15 years old. He's, high school student, etc. And, he's working out and he's trying to, lose a few pounds here and there. After the first week of, really changing his eating habits and, paying attention to the foods he eats and staying away from, the things that he really enjoys eating, like a burger or something. At the end of the week, he's like, Dad, I only lost 1 pound. I sacrificed way too much for just that 1 pound. It's not worth it. Okay. So a lot of times we don't see the results right away and we think that we're not going to get the results. So, as his father and as his coach and mentor, I, created some accountability, pumped him up, gave him some coaching, etc. And in the last 30 days, he's lost like 12 pounds. So he could have given up right there and then, but he didn't. So I think one of the keys, okay, and Gene, correct me if I'm wrong, is the support, is having support. Okay. And this is exactly what Success Mastery Group is all about. It's not just about teaching you these principles, but we got a community on Facebook, and many of you have reached out to me, and I always reach back to you guys, and write you guys back, or sometimes text you back, or sometimes call you, etc. If you need additional support, or if you feel like what you are doing just ain't working and you're about to throw in the towel, in that moment, what I want you to do is reach out to me, to Gene, or anyone else in this group so we could all continue to support each other and push each other to be the best we that we could possibly be. Go ahead, Gene.
Good stuff, Shadi. Hey, listen, one quick thing to close out here. You guys, the most important thing in this whole in all of this, door knocking is just one way of generating business. You have many different options out there as a realtor. The thing is, your desire and your goal, I mean, what you want at the end of the day is the most important thing. You're going to find a way to get what you want if your goal is strong enough. If your desire is there, it doesn't matter what your circumstances are, you're going to find a way to reach your goals. You're going to find a way to provide for your family and make the kind of income and live the lifestyle that you want. If you're committed to your goal, you can door knock. If you're committed to your goal, you can call expireds. If you're committed to your goal, you can go to for sale by owners. If you're committed to your goal, you can stay on top of your center of influence. Your goal is the most important thing that you want to have in front of you all the time, knowing exactly where you're going.
You're absolutely right, Gene. All right,
If you
guys,
know
look.
where you want to go, you're going to eventually get there if your desire is strong enough. I'll tell you what, if you got a spouse making a ton of money and real estate is something on the side, you're not going to door knock. You just won't. There's no reason. But if you need to make an additional transaction, another closing every single month, this stuff works and it'll help you get one step closer to reaching your ultimate goal and to having the lifestyle that you dream of.
You're absolutely right, Gene. Well said. All right. If anyone has any questions for Gene, right now would be a good time to type in your question in the question box so I can have Gene answer your questions. So we'll give you guys a minute or so to just type up any questions if you have any. And what I'll do, Gene, is I'm going to go ahead and add you to our Facebook group in later on today. So because I'm sure somebody may have a question, that will come to their mind when they begin to, put this system into action. And I want to make sure that their questions get answered. So if you're okay with that, I'd like to add you to the group.
Sounds good, Shetty.
Awesome. And Gene, would it be possible for us to get maybe a copy of, whatever, postcard or any marketing piece that you have, that maybe you can snap a photo of it and, share it with me to share with them, just so that could serve as an example for them?
Yes, no problem. I can do that.
Okay. Also the script, if you could share that with, us, that would also be valuable. And I know you said that, it doesn't matter what you say as long as you ask the key questions. Maybe they can take what you currently have and they can just go ahead and customize that to fit them.
No problem. I'll send you the cold door knocking script and the expired at the door.
Awesome. Would really, really, really appreciate it. Well, Gene, I have no questions that have come in. And, so I would like to just to quickly take the time to say thank you very much for all your contribution this morning. I know that you've, impacted, the group, you've inspired the group. You've given them a little bit more certainty about this lead generation system. You've given them great tactics, great ideas, great action steps that they can, execute on. And I'm confident that those that will take this conversation to heart and execute on it will generate some results from it. So again, Gene, thank you, thank you, thank you. And is there anything that you want to say to be complete?
One quick thing to be complete: when you door knock, Shaddy, when you make a contact with someone, they want to give the business to the hard worker. So that's something to keep in mind when you're out there. These people want to reward you with their business, and that is huge because at the end of the day, the agents that are kicking butt and working for it, they're going to get it. And so that's just what I want to leave people with: is people reward those that are working hard. Thank you, Shadi, for the opportunity. It's been a pleasure chatting with your guys. All I have to say is go out there and get them, you guys. There's a lot of money to be had. Have a good one.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Gene. I'll give you a call later on today. And for everyone in the group, thank you very much for attending another training. We're back to our normal schedule beginning this Monday, and I'll send that email out to you guys with the link to register for the next call in the next 24 hours. With that said, have an amazing rest of the week, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.